Hi. Did you like the ending? Did you think it was good? Because I was pretty proud of it. Hello, I'm Endicott. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the creator, story runner, editor, producer, writer. I do all of the stuff. Composer, YouTuber. I do all the stuff to make First Time Listener happen. And it happened, and it was pretty cool. And you guys have some questions about it, so I'm gonna answer them. And we're much cozier than last time, because frankly I didn't want to clean my room. I hope you'll forgive me. If you could talk to yourself from before First Time Listener, what would you say? So recently I did the math of all the time that I put into show, because I don't condone using Spotify, I'm switching out of it soon, but my Wrapped said that I spent 11,044 minutes listening to the Magnus Archives, which is about 7-ish days, and so I did the math about how long First Time Listener took for me to create, and turns out I spent 988 hours on average making this show. I know I say that I have a team, and that's not untrue. The entire team, it wouldn't be nearly as good without it. However, when I say team, I mean I have my actors, who also are guest writers once or twice. I have my story editor, and then there is me. When we do acting scenes, if it's a phone call scene, usually it would take like 1 to 2 hours per episode for the person to be in it. If it's an in-person scene, maybe 4 to 6. If you're writing, maybe also 4 to 6. I realized I spend a minimum of maybe 40 hours on each episode, usually a lot more, because I have to prep all the scenes. I'm the one that writes them. I also do all the research and the editing. I set up all the shots. I do costumes and makeup. I talk through everything. I plan the rehearsals. I do the scheduling and the management. Every single backstage role is me. So it can probably seem like there are a lot more people working behind the scenes than there actually is, but it is just me. So if there's an occasional delay or I seem really tired, well, if I spent 988 hours on the show, that means 11.3% of my year this year was spent working on First Time Listener. 41.16 straight days, over a month. So if I could talk to myself before First Time Listener, what would I say? Well, I mean, I got top surgery in between episodes 2 and 3, so get ready to be way flatter than you were at the start of this. Probably unrelated to the show. Probably. What's your favorite episode of the Magnus Archives overall? Still probably 147, Weaver. I just really like it. What was the hardest part to edit? Good question. I love talking about editing because it takes way more time and way more effort than I think anyone who isn't an editor will ever really understand. The hardest one that took the longest amount of time was definitely the first curator scene, because if you already edit a scene similar to that, you can then like copy paste a lot of the effects. So for the second curator scene, it was a lot easier to make the possessions work. But not only did I have to figure out how to visually and audibly represent how a possession would look like on the broadcast, but I also spent a lot of time on the curator's voice themselves. A lot of people couldn't hear it, but I whispered every single line in my voice underneath all of the curator's lines, because they're kind of using Edwin's vocal cords. So I did 2 different takes of that in 2 different voices for a choral sound. Eye tracking for when Edwin's eyes glow also takes a lot of time, because you have to go frame by frame and move the glow. I don't have any better way to do it yet, because I'm learning special effects as I go. So that took a really long time. And you might have noticed about like around season 4 or 5, the effect changed for when Edwin compels. And in the internal logic, it was because, you know, Edwin's gotten more powerful and more connected to the eye, but the external logic was because I was going to collapse if I spent any more time tracking little green glows on my eyes for hours. The most fun thing to edit was definitely the Chronicle of Terror. Come on, the very end with the incantation, that was pretty sick to do. And it's big trust the process, because when you do really magically powered tense scenes like that, you kind of look like a fool without any of the edits. Maybe I'll throw some clips here showing what they looked like without edits.
Dies, come to us. I open the door.
In the sky, and you will be the thing that devours and reshapes, and you will sing.
When you're an editor, you have to really trust the process and be like, no, this isn't cringe. No, this isn't cringe. This is gonna look really good. But also another point is like, what if it is cringe? What then? Oh no. What a shame. Ugh. For the audience interaction bits, how did that part of the show develop? When did you decide you wanted to incorporate audience statements and characters into the meta-narrative, and what made you decide to go in that direction? I'm a big immersive theater, interactive theater person. I love themes and shows that sort of bring their audience into it or challenge that balance and boundary between audience and story. It kind of just happened. I mean, it's not like I actively thought about it very consciously, but also a big hand in it was with the audience themselves. Like you guys being ominous and slowly commenting more and more quote unquote in character. I mean, I started at the very opening of the first episode doing the little Edwin comments because I was like, oh, it would be kind of fun to sort of make this character and sort of always interact in character. But Edwin started as an accent and a tie and then became more of a person. It was originally just like a host thing. And to incorporate audience statements, I didn't tell anyone to write statements. Shout out to the commenter Brayden, who was the first person that wrote out full-on statements. After that, yeah, people just started to write them. And then Mr. Peacock, of course, was the first one to film one, which added a whole new layer. And I'm also really interested to see if anyone makes any Dreamwalker statements and how they see Henrik in their dreams if they feel so inclined. I'm only saying this because I know some of you do feel so inclined. It was way more interactive than you would expect. Henrik genuinely just started listening with me and then mentioned something about the Library of Alexandria, and so I thought, oh, this will be fun. I'll call my friend researcher Henrik. And then there was like multiple comments being like, oh my god, you have a researcher now, congratulations, that's so great. And I was like, Henrik and I do act a lot together. Maybe we can keep doing that. And for Endicott, will you be looking to have a level of audience interaction in other projects? One big project I'll have to mention that I'm actually working with a group because a first-time listener that contacted me. So that's not my project. Another project is an album. So probably not with that one. Another project is something I'm working with someone in the cast with, something that we've been working on since before First Time Listener, and then we sort of got busy, but we're gonna get back to it. And that one might have, probably not, but maybe might have an open audition, but also might not. I have one last really long-term project that I genuinely do not have the budget or the ability to create on my own because it's like too big, but I can see a way for that to have an audience interaction, which I think would be very fun, but that is something that is genuinely out of my ability to make on my own. Any of your plans change at any point throughout the series? Bold of you to assume I had plans for the series. I couldn't plan anything. I didn't even make my own plot until about like the top of season 2, where I was like, yeah, let's do something, but I didn't know how it ended. I did think of things in advance, like I've had the idea for the Chronicle of Fear since top of season 3, which I thought was original, and then it was just the plot. Yeah, we know. One big thing is I thought I was gonna have Ash's like monologue thing that was at the end of season 4 in like the middle of season 5. I knew the web was gonna be a thing, and I mean, it was a thing in season 5, of course it was in the finale, it was a big deal and all that stuff. I didn't think that it would be so prevalent for the end of season 4. Obviously, you saw my live reaction. it was there. By the way, I have a live reaction to the finale, but it's just kind of really boring. It's kind of me just staring like this and whispering, John, don't you dare, don't you fucking dare, John, don't you dare, no. So maybe I'll put that on my second channel, my secret second channel, where I put all the chronicle statements, but it's not very interesting. Oh, also, was the Astrid and Eddie thing always part of the plan, or did that develop sometime later? That's a really good question. It wasn't originally in the plan, but as I was listening to Genevieve and I, as we performed the first scene with Astrid and Eddie, it was after the entire scene was created at the end of season 3. I didn't at all anticipate involving any romance into this. However, I can kind of see how how something could happen here. If it happens, it'll be on the back burner because there are bigger fish to fry. Because I think it's a bit realistic to be like, hey, if we're feeling some sort of tension here, maybe let's like wait to work it out when we're not seeing the world. Because doing two things at once is just very stressful, you know? Seems like the priorities. Were there any moments where a viewer's statement contradicted the story you're trying to tell? Yes, I will obviously not be mentioning them because I feel like then every single time you watch these like 1 or 2 sentences spread across different statements, you're gonna be like, oh, that's the one where Endicott said that they weren't canon! I'm not pitting people against one another here. And also, not only that, but the very easy thing to do is if I just won't comment on it. I just won't mention it. There's the phrase called game jacking, which is when someone like takes over someone else's game. I think it's more of like a DMing RPG type phrase. But the thing is, no one can really do that here. With all the respect, if someone just suddenly posts a video being like, I'm the long lost triplet of first time listener, I grew up with Jerry and Edwin, this is exactly what they would say, then I just won't add it to the statement playlist. I have the control here, and I try not to misuse it, but sort of the thing with interactive media is you have to create rules that can be flexible and stretched as much as the audience can adhere to the rules that are made in the story. It's like literally a realm of disbelief. So don't be too worried about that. And if it's even like one sentence that you personally will feel really awful about hearing that it doesn't work, it's fine. I just won't. It's fine. It's literally fine. It's part of how this works. It's fine. How difficult was it to embody certain voices with the mimicking, especially a viewer's voice? Well, I only did that to 2 viewers, including Mallory. John used to come more naturally to me, but then I feel like I got too in my head about making sure that embodying that character was different from how I embodied Edwin, because, I mean, John and Edwin are quite dissimilar, but I don't know, when I think of John, I thought of like heightened posture, more staticky movements and that sort of thing, especially at the beginning. But that's also how I did Edwin for me. I had to be able to not just distinguish characters from myself, but distinguish characters from my other character, which I think that was the hard part. I found Nicola to be really hard. I thought it was really fun, but I found it very difficult. Weirdly, Elias was one of the easiest ones. There's me, and then there's Edwin, and then there's the character. So me and the character might be embodying differently, but I have to make sure that Edwin embodies differently from the character as well. So it's a lot of different layers that you have to think about. And God forbid I ever quote Edwin channeling a character who's doing an impression of another character. I don't think I've done that yet, but honestly, who knows? Honestly, well, I guess the incantation could qualify as such. It's fun. It's fun to do, and it's cool to do levels of tension and working it out. It's a very actory thing with the physicality. For a more silly question, are the glasses just a prop, or are they actual reading glasses? These are my actual glasses, but my thing is my prescription is not very strong, so I don't necessarily need them to drive or to see, so I don't wear them all the time. I have other sets of older glasses that are still good enough to help me see better, but once again, my prescription's not strong enough, so I can switch them out. And I broke them. I was trying, all of the glasses are too small for my head, every single one, so I've given up. And so then I tried to bend them, and I just straight up snapped them, and I can't really buy new ones right now. but I used glue from work, so now they're probably fine. But we'll see. If I wear them for too long, then they kind of hurt my ears, and no matter what, it happens with all glasses, and I don't know how to fix it. I've tried so many different things, which makes the librarian chains actually practical, because if my glasses are hurting me, I can just take them off for a little bit. I can't wear my silver ones, because whenever I wear my silver ones with my glasses, it's kind of like my prop to transform myself into character. I think it's called an anchor, or like a character anchor for actual hoity-toity acting stuff, if you've ever been to acting school like me. Some people use scents or perfumes or objects or specific character pieces, and you shouldn't wear them when you're not the character because it really grounds you when you're performing. And I accidentally made it. So now my glasses, my silver chain, I don't usually wear because whenever I do, I look in the mirror and I'm just like, oh no, that's Edwin. What was it like hearing the revelations in episode 197 for the first time? Hey, what? I thought that 160 was gonna be the biggest one, the really big, no one told me the meta plot was actually just the plot. But then when 197 hit, and turns out, like, my meta plot was actually just the plot, but it's also just the plot in the show as well. It's not just parallel plot, it is accidentally canon compliant. I thought people were just being really nice when they were saying things like, I consider this to be like canon in my head as a sequel for the Magnus Archives. And I was like, man, that's really nice. Thank you. But also, whoa. And now I'm listening to that and I'm like, I understand. It's still very nice. It's still really, really kind. But now part of me is just like, I understand more what this means. I don't like calling my own stuff canon because that's not for me to decide, and two, no, if I'm not affiliated professionally with Rusty Quill, that's once again not my decision to make, and it feels weird. But for people's headcanons to be canon, that's fine. Though it would be cool if Rusty Quill ever saw this. Hey, Rusty Quill. You make good stuff. What were your thoughts and feelings on John going behind everyone's back in the final episode? Man, I felt like I should have seen it coming. I knew he was going to become the pupil to the eye. I mean, come on. You can't, it's like Chekhov's pupil to the eye. You can't create the scariest, most horrified, like, throne for the main character to sit on and have been created to sit on the throne and then not have him do that. So I knew it wasn't a question of was he going to, it was a question of how will he. And I was just so disappointed because the instant that I worked out what was going on, I was like, of course he would do this. This is what he does. He did this with the coffin. John's thing is he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to people. To me, it doesn't matter whether or not he was right. Because if I were put in that situation, I probably would have agreed with John of we should try to destroy the fears at the root. We should try to destroy them. I probably would have agreed with him. But that's not the point. The point is that he went against every single person, and even if I didn't exactly agree with their plan, and the instant he did that, I was like, oh, this is the thing that he does. He thinks that he knows best, and he makes choices against people's backs because he can't wait. God, it made me so upset and disappointed in him. I was really, really pissed at him, but it did work really, really well thematically for first-time listener, because the big difference between John and Edwin is the first-time listener, so Edwin fucking listens. So thematically speaking, it worked out perfectly for me because I didn't even fully realize that was a big distinction between their characters until that moment. But also I would like to point out that the horrors are weaker in the First Time Listener world than they are in the Magnus Archives. Because the First Time Listener ritual is to make them as strong as they are in the Magnus Archives, not start an apocalypse. Ergo, I also would argue that it is easier for Edwin to, quote-unquote, resist them because they're just not as strong. And so if Edwin was actually put into John's shoes at the level of, quote-unquote, temptation might be the right word, that the fears can grant in that world, it might not have had a happy ending. And last but not least, before we move on to the group, what was the funniest incorrect prediction, or rather, is there a prediction you wish had been true? Well, I do get a lot of shit for Martin is a vampire. Which, actually, in my defense, that itself was not true, but then in the very next chunk of episodes for John to be like, Martin, are you a ghost? The correlation is not lost on me, okay? I see it. I don't actually know if I correlated this in the theories themselves, but I originally, like the very, very original, like in the first few episodes, when I thought of Divine Host, I thought of whatever scary things are happening, the Divine Host is the center of it. Hence, in the very first episode of First Time Listener, I said, who is the Divine Host? Was it Gertrude? Will it be Jonathan? I mean, kind of. I know the Divine Host eventually, like, wasn't that definition, but in how I interpreted it, John kind of was. But I really kind of liked the idea of, I guess, a cult or an organization surrounded by all of the fears. That was something that I don't necessarily wish had been true in that world, but I think that's a really juicy concept to sort of stretch out. Okay. There you go. I answered the questions. This is fun. I love doing Q&As. Throw in the comments if you have any more questions for me or my team, I guess. But you're about to hear me and the rest of the people answer some questions that you guys have. And in advance, I was having so many technical difficulties the day of recording, and we only had one day where all of us, except for Julia, I'm sorry Julia's not there. So if people don't answer a few questions, or if like half the people answer one question and then it very abruptly cuts or something, you'll know why. Or if the visuals go blank, then I'm sorry. I am not made of magic. I can't. I tried. Can't. It's holiday season. We can't reschedule very much. So yeah. Hi everybody. How we doing? We finished listening to this show called The Magnus Archives while also making a show called First Time Listener, which was pretty fun and a lot of work.
That's some interesting parallels to the show going on right now with who can't make it here.
She's gonna be pissed that she couldn't be here. We're gonna do quick intros, give your name, your character, your pronouns, secret questions if I've told you to answer with secret questions. And also as a little icebreaker, your favorite candle scent. Hi, I'm Endicott. I played Edwin Endicott, and I also wrote and created and edited and shot the show. And my pronouns are they, them. And my favorite candle scent, well, the candle that I have on my desk right now is pumpkin pie. So we're gonna go with that. And I'm gonna throw it to the new person in the room, who's actually the oldest cast member, but the newest Q&A member. That stranger over there who's freaking out about it.
That wasn't, okay. Hi, I am Henrik. I play Henrik. Pronouns he, him. I have the secret question, because I was not here last time. What was my favorite Magnus Archives episode? The cave.
Lost John's Cave.
That one. I think that was like the first one. I was like, this is crazy, and that holds a special place in my heart. I just got a friend to start listening to the Magnus Archives, and that's the one that I'm like, that's the first one. Like, I'm excited to hear your reaction to this. Like the whole kind of ending couple episodes of season 4, but that were all great. And it was like the Solis episode where they're just chilling in his house.
Yeah.
And then my favorite candle scent. I like lemony things. I like a lemony smell. So something like that.
Hi, my name is Ash. I play Ash.
Whoa.
Ashlyn. It's different spellings. She, her. My favorite scented candle scent is blackberry, specifically this one. I have a prop. Black of the Berry by fucking Illuminate Bee Candles.
Hashtag
not sponsored. Yep.
Hashtag not sponsored. It's just a very
Jinx.
particular scent that I huff like a glue.
Hi, I'm Genevieve. I use she, her pronouns, and I play Astrid. And my favorite scented candle, I have my favorite that I have right now, which is Happy Space by Osmology.
Not sponsored.
No, hashtag not sponsored. But what if I was? But I'm not. I'd love to
Not
be.
me, but you
So-
specifically.
Just me. Which is a scent of rose, geranium, and amber.
So my name is Percy Grant. I play Perseus Turner. He, him for both. So my favorite candle scent, I don't know. I don't have a specific candle like some other folks, but I do. I tend to like something very like mentholy. I like a eucalyptus. I love a pine. Ooh, there actually was this pine scented candle that I got last Christmas that I left at my parents' house when I moved, and I'm really mad about it still.
My name's Mallory. They, them pronouns. I play the curator. My favorite candle scent. So, like, I have a really nice wood smoke one, but I don't ever actually light it. So it really has to go with this very nice, like, pumpkin spice candle that one of my partners got for me.
Alrighty, so the first question I have is, for everyone, what was the most unexpected thing to have to develop about your character? And are there things that you developed that didn't come up? My answer's pretty quick. Yeah, being like accidentally canon compliant was kind of a big deal, I think, just a little bit. Following the almost exact plotline to what the Archivist is, and thinking that it was original by just calling it the Chronicle. It was just the exact same thing. And then the show ending with passing the fears on, which was the plot since the beginning of season 2 for first time listener, was that was the thing that I least expected to develop. Are there things that you developed but that didn't come up? This is an Astrid thing, but we have actually gave Astrid a superpower that never came up. Because I really liked the idea of one of the characters just having like a small power that just is completely irrelevant to the plot, and then I meant to mention it, but Astrid can breathe underwater for anyone curious, because she's a swimmer, and I was thinking about it. And I just think for someone so like practical and loving, and just someone who's so on top of all their shit, to just have a power that is just not applicable to anything in like their relevant problem solving life just was really funny to me, and I think Genevieve also liked it. So fun fact, if you guys are curious.
Now I'm pissed.
My technology likes to hate me, which someone out there is going to be like, oh my god, that's so protocol of you. I don't understand. I don't get it, and I'm not going to pretend to. This is Julia getting revenge for me excluding her from this.
While we wait for our dear archivist to come back from hell again, I think one of the most like expected things about Ashton Spinner was like how genuinely conflicted she was about loyalties. Like, she made the choice. She made the choice that she ultimately would, and she was always going to make that choice, but it was always complicated, and it was never clear cut between specifically this one and the web. I don't know. I was expecting her to be a bit more of a cruel, cold, unfeeling bitch. She, like, seeing her get back together with Percy, even as brief a time as it was on screen, I liked. It was surprising. It was fun to me.
What were the cast's reactions to seeing the final versions of episodes of First Time Listener? If you guys have even seen it yet. I don't actually know if you have. I don't ask if you guys watched the things.
I mean, of course I watch it. Whenever it comes out, I like settle down. Ideally, the same morning it releases if I can. Like, wait until I have a cup of tea and settle in and watch it. And usually yap to you about like the little details that I notice and appreciate because they're fun. Earlier on, I tried to avoid reading the scripts beforehand so that I could experience as much of it fresh as I could, and that was always fun.
Maybe it's just like me not coming from a theater background and the way that I know multiple members of this cast were. In a number of cases, I got scripts beforehand. I was asked with like reading over some things beforehand here and there. So there were a lot of instances of me having the script before the episode came out, and then going from that to actually seeing people's performances. Y'all are such good actors. Is the long and short. Like, it was like there were times when I was like, I forgot that this was. We have the fucking statement about the spooky fucking painting. And I was just like, oh, this is a statement from the Magnus Archives. This is one that I just missed the first time around, or things like that. Oh, they're
I gave up and used my bad camera. My new camera's not it's not even new. My good camera's not working. But that was sweet. Thank you very much, Ash. That specific statement I found very daunting. So it was kind of like my first very original statement, because Henrik's came very naturally because Henrik also wrote parts of it. But that was Astrid's statement was very much my own first statement that I wrote. So I appreciate that it turned out well.
And I think I'm in sort of a similar boat. We do have very different backgrounds. I am very much a theater person.
What? No. You?
Yeah, I know nobody could have ever guessed that from the everything about me. I don't know. I get pretentious about scripts in general, I think. Like, as good as any script is, I am very much of the mindset that if you're just reading a script for, a play, a show, whatever have you, you're really only seeing like maybe 40% of like what the actual, concept of the story is. You are such a brilliant writer, and it is so just always amazing to watch your words have just life breathed into them by everybody else. It's such an amazing like meld and mix every single time. I will say I am deeply critical of my own performance, and so I do always get just a little bit like skeeved out watching my own scenes. All the phone calls are so much fucking fun. And like everything with the curator, it's just like every time just like I hear Mallory's voice, I'm just like, oh fuck yeah. Oh, it's about to be that. Good show, cool show. Long story short.
Yes.
This is a good show. Y'all should watch it, audience.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Go watch the fucking show, bitch.
This isn't gonna make any sense, and half of it was spoiled. Go watch
You're
the
getting
show.
spoiled.
What are you
Go,
doing?
shoo, away with it.
You're doing this out of order.
What are you doing here? Go.
Gross.
The show's over. Go to the beginning. But I can confirm that even if your whole thing about YouTube is watching yourself on camera all the time, it doesn't get easier to watch. Especially editing doesn't get easier. But that's also why I love doing scenes with other people, because I get to geek out about how talented all my friends are.
Do you actually watch the final episodes, or do you rewatch them enough in editing that you don't bother?
Before I upload them, I rewatch them fully at least twice. And then I also watch them fully at least once they're actually uploaded, but it's too much for me to then spend the 3 hours it takes to upload them onto YouTube, watch it, and then be like, it's good. But I've had to re-upload it a few times because I fucked up before.
I'm coming from a very similar place to Percy, where like I can be very critical of my own performances, and I don't generally like watching them. And so for me, like, I guess more of a background perspective, I was very curious to see how this one turned out, because there was parts where Edwin and Astrid are together, and there's parts where we're not, and we're just on the phone, and then you see me and you don't, and there was a lot going on spatially where I'm like, all right, I am not physically in the same place as Casey. I will drive to them, but I can't. How is this gonna work? So seeing all of your wonderful editing coming together was like, oh, okay, this worked out. We were on the phone while I was filming, and I was like, oh, I don't know, Casey, I'm so worried about this. And
I was like, don't be worried about it. It's gonna look great. You've got to have the vision.
Perfectionist, like when I have a vision in my head and I can't make that a reality, like I'm just a girl in an apartment and I got some fabric and I can make it kind of look like a different place, but not the place that's in my head. It was cool to see how it all turned out. We've talked about this before, but I'm coming from a place where I haven't listened to the Magnus Archives or watched the Magnus Archives. So the times when I do watch the episodes, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but hey, my friends are doing something.
In one moment where I really, really realized how much I appreciate you as Astrid is I forgot to ask you to record 2 lines when I went to shoot the aftermath with Edwin being unconscious. And so then I did an Astrid voice and sort of replicated how I thought you would say the line so that I would have it to record. And I was just like, I am so not Astrid. This sounds so wrong. And so it just made me appreciate you even more than I already do, for me to be like, my God, I could never play Astrid. It doesn't sound right when I do it.
So I am a little freak. I do really enjoy watching myself.
I know this about you, actually.
About me. I think at like some point in high school, I kind of like something snapped in me as I was like editing myself all these film projects, and now I just have a great time watching myself. If I don't have time immediately to watch an episode, I do watch my scenes first.
Yeah, totally. I always expect people to just watch their scenes. So I don't hold it against anyone. If you're just like, I couldn't get to it, but I watched my scenes and I thought they were awesome, I'd be like, sick.
But then like seeing the like how you edit it afterwards with all the like distortions is like, oh, this is actually like now really tense. It's not just me like sitting on the floor,
Going, ah!
We chat after like, we've got up to the episodes, whatever. And so like, I think I have an idea. Hey, this is vaguely what's going on. Because you told me what my stuff is, and the narcissist that I am assumed that's all the
Yeah, that's all the story. We've known that you were gonna die since I think season 3.
Yeah,
die, I say in quotes.
I think as soon as the question about like what your greatest fear was out, it kind of like was like, well, yes, yeah.
But technically you don't die technically.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, you're never gonna die.
Dead.
Yeah.
He's kayaking.
Because like you mentioned there was like some in-joke about kayaking.
Yeah, because like, I mentioned it and then Percy told
I had
me.
to be the one to tell them.
Yeah.
Whatever that one compilation was that like then showed like
all the kayaking references.
Like, oh. Yeah, I am gonna die. That's crazy.
And that was a fun fact about us, is both of us, I used to competitively kayak, so both Henrik and I have kayaking experiences that in 4 years of knowing each other, we just never brought up. And so in you sharing that story, I was like, oh my God, I also used to kayak all the time. What a weirdly specific hobby. And then we found out it is a very specific I guess metaphor in joke for like a character dying in the Magnus Archives.
Like, cause like for the beginning there, it was just like there was just this vague like, threat of like you've got to solve the mystery before John does, otherwise you might. And then suddenly like we're getting antagonists and like
where did they come from?
Like that's so cool. It was very like suddenly be like, oh my God, like now there's like character dynamics and like danger and like holy shit, like this is actually like. Really cool way. And then like you're fucking that statement at the end. I'm not caught up with the last couple episodes yet, but the end of season 4 is just like, this is the coolest villain. I come in as a character, I'm like, I'm just gonna play myself in reactions to the Magnus arc, because there's not this like big overarching plot yet, and it's very cool and rewarding to then see like the amount of work everyone has brought into their own characters and these original stories that then like begin to propagate the story around.
I think UKC said something along the lines of like, oh, I expect people to only watch their bits of the show. No. Between me being critical and like a bit of a perfectionist myself and me being dysphoric as fuck, I cannot watch most episodes or most scenes that I am in. I can watch the final monologue because there's something about it that makes me like just barely not dysphoric enough that I can actually sit through it without breaking out in hives.
It's very different seeing yourself, especially with the dysphoria. I get it really bad with my voice. I'm just like, which is genuinely partially why I did the accent, because when I do. Yeah. I don't know if I've gotten better with time. I think I dissociate more with time to be able to edit my own face a lot better. just because I have to, it's a lot of me, but also having Edwin have a completely different voice than me and genuinely doing the accent lets me reframe it and focus more on, oh, that's Edwin the character. That's not fully me. I'm just doing the thing. It's fine. Chronicle of Terror is one of my favorite episodes. I loved it so much. That was really fun to edit and really fun to write because we did a lot of your statement together and then I did all the, now let me explain the nitty gritty of what it meant to be the Chronicle, and I didn't have to change any of what I wanted it to be because it was just the plot.
For me, it's less like putting on a British accent that made it bearable. It's just being like a little bit extra bitchy, like a bit bitchier than I usually am.
But you two, your other roommate is also an actor on First Time Listener. and Adele texted me last night being like, so Ash was listening or was watching First Time Listener and I got so much shock from hearing my own voice somewhere that I didn't know it was going to be in the other room. It was like a statement and I just responded, make your statement face your fear.
There was this really fun moment of there being this big climactic moment in like the second to last episode. It might have actually been the finale. And right at like the peak of the tension, or right as there was about to be a scene cut, I got hit with a fucking L'Oreal commercial. It's like the most, it scared the shit out of me. I got jump scared because I was so locked in on what Casey was saying. I was like, why does their voice sound like, oh.
I am personally so sorry that people have to deal with ads in the middle of the show, but I would rather die than put a sponsor in the middle of First Time Listener. So, exactly. And I need the money. Eventually, if I get paid, I would love to pay you guys, but I have not made very much. But hey, I've gotten one check a few months ago. I know, big deal. But the goal is to pay my actors. That's really the goal. All right, how did the curator end up becoming such a big part of the overarching plot? I'm gonna let Mallory say this in their words.
Don't fucking know. Like the night before the second episode of First Time Listener was uploaded,
I forgot about this.
Yeah, I actually had a dream about the show, woke up and it's like, oh, the next episode's out. Well, that's weird enough that I have to comment about it, which I normally don't do. Load-bearing one thing led to another, and I'm a significant character.
Well, I would say load-bearing, then I asked you to potentially be a moderator and to email my business email. And so then we emailed back and forth. And then eventually switched to Discord. And
we sent enough emails that they started glitching out and the chains were breaking, so it was like...
Yes, because you were a stranger and I was being responsible. Well, I was being professional because I was a YouTuber talking to someone who was a viewer. And then you stopped being viewer. And then you were a moderator for a little bit. And I have no idea how it turned into me talking to you about plot and you becoming curator. I mean, there's written evidence in text and emails somewhere.
I consulted on things, and then I think eventually you were like, would you want to, have a role in the show? And I was like, yes, I would love to. I've been too scared to ask.
And I was like, sick. And now you're the head story editor.
Somehow, basically every time the curator has appeared, I've been like, okay, I think they've said their piece. I think this is their last appearance and their role in the story is done. And then a little bit later, Casey's like, so what about this? Like, well, I'm back.
Literally every single time you're like, that wraps it up, doesn't it? I think we're good and we're done. And I'm like, wait a second, is the thing about that. This might be a complete arc, but wouldn't it be even funnier if you then had to work with the people you hated?
It's just too good of a voice.
Right, it's too good of a voice.
To be done with it would be a shame.
Exactly, it'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah,
but that's far in the future.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows anymore? The future is no longer certain.
It's like the end of Back to the Future, but devastating. Yeah.
I had a stupid Back to the Future joke to make if anybody cares.
I do care. I care. I love Back to the Future.
eyes. Where we're going, we don't need eyes. That's all. It wasn't. No, don't do that. No, don't do that.
If you could write a different ending for your character, what would it be? Or if your character was a different avatar, what would it be? A different ending, I would have fucking killed Edwin. Because I was just like, I think it does a disservice to the story if he stays alive. I think like the stakes are too high, and if he just somehow lives, then I feel like that is a disservice to the horror of the show. And so I grappled with that for a long time. But also, I personally find it way more terrifying to be like the sole survivor, to have to survive, and also knowing that that character is going to be pulled back into the thing that they fear the most. Or doing other stories and constantly surviving them. I think that makes for a way more interesting dynamic. It makes me think of the Doctor from Doctor Who. Part of the fear and the horror of the Doctor that he experiences is him always surviving and having to grapple with that. I thought the audience was fully gonna be like, Edwin's gonna live. Of course she's gonna live. But a huge amount of comments were talking about how I didn't think Edwin was gonna survive. And I'm really glad, because since I think the top of season 4, I was pretty certain that Edwin was gonna survive so that he can do other stories, he could do Protocol, because it's way more interesting to have Edwin do Protocol than to have a completely new series of characters do Protocol. I intentionally tried to foreshadow that he was going to die, but I also made it very, very intentional that he has said multiple times he fears immortality more than he fears death. So him being the survivor makes him ever more afraid, and this show, I knew you were gonna do something about that, Henrik. I knew you were gonna react. We've had this argument so many times, and I agree with Edwin on this one. I agree with Edwin. If Edwin wasn't I think Edwin would be Webb.
I am unfortunately too big of a sucker for a happy ending and whatnot. So if given the opportunity, I would get Fantasy Ash and Fantasy Percy to end up together. I understand it's probably better for the fiction and for the show that we ended.
But if they were just put
did,
somewhere else.
Yeah, but I'm just like, it's my boyfriend. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if my character could be a different avatar, I do think I would go with Spiral. I think Spiral is the most fun to get like freaky with it.
I think it's very hard for me to say what I would have wanted character Percy's ending to be, because I don't feel like his story is over. I don't know.
He's very open-ended.
Like, yeah, we've talked about, him like not appearing in the final episode, and like what an intentional choice that was. So many ways that could go, because I don't fucking know what you want to do for Protocol. I
don't know either, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I was like, I don't not to like put you on blast or anything, I don't think you know what you want to do for Protocol.
I have no fucking idea. I've got some ideas, but I need to, listen to the show first.
Yeah, honestly, same. But I don't know, I feel like where character Percy has sort of ended up, it's very like Agnes Montague-esque in a way, which I quite like, because she's always been one of my favorite avatars. And I do think that sort of the tragedy in her comes from that we never hear her voice, and that we never hear her story in her own words. If there were another way that the story could have gone, I feel like it could have been something really fun to have turned Percy into very much this just ghost haunting the narrative. Both if he were a different avatar and if I were a different avatar, because character Percy is in a lot of ways just kind of me. I do think I would just be of the desolation.
You're a lot nicer though. You've never punched me in the face yet.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do also think that there are a lot of elements of his story that lend themselves very, very well to the lonely. There is a version of Percy out there who is very much being sort of pulled further into Ash's web by sort of, his lack of connection to anyone else. And she's the only one who can cut through the fog and stuff like that. And so it's, it's still a very fucked up love story, but in a very different way.
like view of things, but something that like I always contend, like Astrid is a law student, and how does a law, like you have this story, this very fantastical like eldritch horror thing, and a law student is like in it, and that was something that like I was always contending with, like how does this very logical, grounded, like reasonable person get so enamored by this fantastical situation. So I think there's almost, I could see a world in which Astrid is kind of more of an onlooker as her friend is like going through all this crazy shit, and she's just kind of left as the last one who, it's then the situation of what do you do when, you know, something crazy happens and you're not a part of it, but these people that you love are changed by it.
Mm-hmm. But if you think Astrid were to be an avatar, I don't know if you can remember all the horrors off the top of your head, but you can pick one that someone else said somewhere.
Sure, the buried, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the water breathing does actually lend itself to her being a buried avatar. So like,
Yeah, and like
Oh
I was
yeah,
gonna
the
say,
buried is drowned.
we kind of throw out the buried as a joke, but like I can kind of see that for her, especially since, you know, she was one of the ones who was consistently like, you know, trying to be there to figure things out and trying to find the next steps and trying to like do the right thing and, you know, push everything forward and keep everyone safe. And I think that, you know, there have been buried statements in the past, or like concepts of the buried as a manifestation of stress and like buckling under outside pressure, even if that, you know, the buckling isn't necessarily physical or literal. And I think that like that is something that Astrid could fall victim to really easily, but also would sort of choose to submit herself to and choose to take on in the way that you sort of have to do to be properly an avatar of a fear.
I really like that. And also playing with the concept of tunnel vision, which is kind of a
Yes.
pun, but I think it fits. Favorite part of First Time Listener? It could be a favorite scene or a favorite thing.
I think the coolest part is kind of this like both real story and not really, you know, this kind of this
The
gray
mushing.
area.
Yeah, it squishes.
Exactly, like, that's the coolest thing. And so that I think throughout has been the like, and the fact that then this all ends up like working perfectly, like, you know, the fact that you like your story that ends up being the story of the plot, and then it all like,
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing is how like both like not story and unplanned and planned, it all like just this like, you know, stuck between all these different extremes.
Yeah, honestly, I think my answer is really similar. I think it was just the lightning in the bottle of being like, oh, this thing I really like, and I feel like I'm understanding the internal logic, and I'm following enough, and I can pour myself into all of this because I love creating things. It is the greatest feeling in the world. So to be able to have a perfect thread of constant inspiration, I'm much better at writing characters than I am building worlds. But the Magnus Archives is a sandbox with very defined rules or intentionally undefined things. And so it was really easy to always feel inspiration and to always get ideas. The mix of the meta and the not meta, and the knowing things and not knowing things, and missing things and missing really obvious things, and then catching really, really not obvious things, and sort of the combination of the planned bits and the unplanned bits, and being personally surprised by my own writing in a way that was so web-like. It's just very fun to be able to add to the circle of inspiration by other people making at least like 30 statements, fan statements all over the place, and also being able to create such a specific genre that I can then subvert a shit ton of it in the last 2 seasons of Magnus. It was just a really good time. And also the music. I really liked writing the music, and it'll be released soon. I've got to work on it.
Crazy also to learn that you're doing the music. Yeah. I was like, okay.
My favorite part of First Time Listener, I think the collaboration and overall just the community. You know, Casey, you and I have had conversations about this so many times in the past. This like project and like being part of it could not possibly have come at a better time for me. The first episode you asked me to be in was a little less than a year after we graduated. And so it was like I was stuck living back with my parents. I hadn't done any theater in so goddamn long. And I was just about to like crawl out of my skin, getting to reconnect with you and like
Have a sleepover.
Exactly. We were having sleepovers and stuff, and like getting to be a part of something so cool with G and with, you, Henrik, and you, Mallory, getting to like build something up and like write my own stuff, but also see what other people were writing and just get to, marvel at the cool shit my friends were doing. Like just feel like something bigger than myself in a way that I think art has a very unique way of making me feel. Like seeing, again, all of the fan statements, everything that's come out of this, seeing how it's just kind of snowballed and built on itself and inspired so many other people. Casey, I think you should be really, really proud of the amazing, like, microcosm bubble universe you have built that is like living within sort of like the wider world of the Magnus Archives, but is so unique and so distinct. I think that it's really, really incredible, and I think you nailed it when you said lightning in a bottle.
Thanks. It was nothing. It's no big deal. Actually,
nothing. Hey, what percent of the year did you spend on it? On this nothing?
So you guys didn't know this, but I recently calculated how much time I put into First Time Listener and how much of my year I spent working on it. I spent 11% of my year working on First Time Listener. It was 988 hours.
Jesus Christ.
It was no big deal.
Oh my god.
It was no big deal or anything, you guys. I was very normal about it.
Hang on, let's see.
So cool.
How many days is that? Let me
41.
look
What?
Oh my god. If you... That's like... You spent Lent on this shit.
I gave up my sanity for Lent. And my tits, but that's besides the point.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
My favorite part of it genuinely was creating the almanac, because it's so different from like anything else I've done, and very strange, and I know most of you haven't seen the full scope of it yet. And it's just having this absurd vision in my head of like, here's a cursed thing that could exist, and it's starting as a joke, and it just gradually becoming more and more real until it's like, here's an actual book that exists and is visibly unhinged, and the just different things that went into it, and the ridiculous amount of work Robin put into like...
Yeah, Robin! Shout out Robin!
Also, I hate to break the formatting, but Henrik, you didn't answer the what would an alternate ending for your character be, and you are the one I am the most curious about your answer for. I'm so
Fucking
sorry.
survive, I
Please.
guess.
Because I honestly, I don't think I would have changed anything about the ending. Because again, like I think at all points I was like, I want to steer this as close to myself as possible within the balance of this crazy horror world, because that was like that was the fun for me of like, okay, like how like what would my avatar be, whatever.
You're a lot nicer though. Once again, pointing this out, a lot of you are a lot nicer than the character versions of yourselves, but you are. I would say you're even funnier than Researcher Henrik, which is saying something.
Yes. Fuck yeah. Okay. I do think that the Researcher Henrik is more brash than I am.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the inner workings, I think it is pretty one-to-one.
I'm glad. It's funny because I tried to write Researcher Henrik as like, I tried to imagine Researcher Henrik as a character. So hearing that you were just like, no, that was just me. I'm just like, well, that's pretty cool.
I was gonna say because I didn't write most of the stuff that I said, and so I jumped in and I was like, I would say this.
I just known you for a little bit now. I would like to. We also have straight up written a show together, so I think that helps.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, like a lot of the character's story was me texting you like, this is my opinions on death, and you've been like, that's crazy.
I was like, that's the crazy. Hey, actually, the viewers don't know this. You know all the crazy shit that Henrik's voicemail was talking about how he would rather serve in an apocalypse forever and have Elias be immortal because at least someone got to be immortal? Henrik just told me that. I just copied all of his text and just put it in the voicemail because I thought that was the wildest take I have ever heard.
That was genuinely. I texted you. My reaction to the last episode was not, oh no, Martin and John. It was, oh no, Jonah Magnus.
Yeah, you were like, I felt bad for Jonah, and I was like, you're the only one.
Unhinged. He didn't even succeed. He would have died eventually anyway. If
that was what was sad about it. My big red flag is I agree with every single thing my character did throughout the course of the show.
At least from my perspective, I probably would have fallen as deep as Edwin did. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a good thing. I'm not condoning it. But, you know, this whole show started as me being curious. Edwin was a name and an accent. He wasn't really anything, and then he slowly became a thing. Actually, he was a name, an accent, and different pronouns. No, he actually started as they, them, and then I was like, I don't know. I imagine him as a gender, but not a woman. So I guess that's he, they now. But he's kind of ambivalent, but don't she her, Edwin. It just doesn't, just look at him. So I don't really think that I'm super similar to Edwin, but I think I'm most concerned that I would have made the choices that he made.
I think I would make the choice that Henrik made, and I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, good.
I think I am in full agreement with turning into an immortal eldritch horror.
I can't. I genuinely don't think I can articulate how, in a better way than my dear and darling boyfriends did, how just lovely it was to see just everybody like doing their thing, and how like I feel like so many of the comments I've said even in this interview have just been like, I really like seeing everybody act. I really liked this statement. I really liked everybody just to get to like stretch their acting muscles, I guess, here and there, and like do everything that they were doing, like all of the performances, all of the insane pieces of art and whatnot that were created.
What are some questions you have about your characters and their futures? They will not be answered. I won't be saying anything. I'm just very curious about what you think the next steps are that you'd want to consider for your characters.
I wear this hat in the next.
I'm not going to say no. Why would I say no? Is your question, are you going to be the Mushroom King?
Am I going to be the Mushroom King?
I can't tell you.
I'm very curious what, like, obviously, Henrik, little freak now.
He was always a little freak.
Little freak. What the motivation is, what the like philosophy is of this character, like what that's gonna look like.
I've been actively not thinking about what will be happening with Protocol, because if I start thinking about it, then I'll start yapping to you about it, and you're not allowed to be thinking about it yet. That said, I'm wondering what circumstances will lead the curator back into this bullshit. I'm curious if there's anyone else they're going to wind up interacting with, if there's anything that's going to necessitate me buying a camera.
No, I'm never gonna make you purchase something. If I can't pay you, God knows I'm not gonna make you buy things.
Oh my god, it's fine. Oh, I'm curious, I'm wondering if we're gonna figure out a way for Vita Renard to come back.
I really liked Vita.
I really liked their voice, and we got to hear it for about 45 seconds.
My favorite thing about that is when you were editing that script, you just said about the hunter, you were just like, these sentences sound wrong and I can't work out why. And I just had to be like, Vito, I can hear it. I know the voice, I can hear it, and it's the exact way I want it to speak, and it's how the actor I know is gonna serve. And then you were just like, okay. And then after hearing it, you were like, oh.
Yep.
I guess if I had one question about like moving forward and like the future of my character and stuff, it would be, where the fuck am I? Where am I?
Hey, Casey, where the fuck is he?
Hey.
What happens? Are character Ash and Perseus still together? We really left that ambiguous. Huh.
It was intentionally ambiguous!
Yeah.
No.
The very last question, which I just think is a really good question, especially because two of us just did the same audition for what will be the answer. What are some dream roles of yours?
I'm very curious what this double audition is.
Oh, well, both Percy and I recently submitted auditions for Hamlet as Hamlet.
Yeah.
So
I
I'd say
actually
that's it
haven't
for me.
submitted mine yet. I will say that's what I'm doing immediately after hanging out this call is going to film that.
Yeah.
I filmed mine yesterday and then went to an open mic. It was very fun.
I would just love to do more Shakespeare in general. Once I am like older and have like grown enough that I could like conceivably play this character and it not be ridiculous that a 23-year-old is playing him, I would love to be Macbeth. I feel like that would be so much fun. In the more immediate term, like while I'm still young enough to play this character, I would absolutely love to play Mercutio. I feel like he would be so much fun. It is a fair amount of Shakespeare, I will say. Duke Orsino. I played viola in 12th Night in high school, and I would kind of love to be on the other side of that. It's funny, so many of my dream roles are like, I am not anywhere old enough to be a good actual fit for this character yet. Because also, like, I'd love to eventually be Hades in Hades Town. Decades from now. I just fucking love acting, you know? It's what I want to do. I want to do more of it. And so I think at this point, my dream role is any role that I can take.
Hey, audience! If any of you have any casting calls, email, and if you want any of us to be in any of your shows, email my business email and I'll forward the word.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments. Get in the comments. If you want any of us to come on in, and we'll just be vaguely in the northeastern part of the United States.
Or
Let us know.
California.
Or Los Angeles, California. Hamlet is a big one. Macbeth would be cool. Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream. Always wanted to be Puck. I was Titania once, and nowadays, why the fuck would I be Titania? For musical theater, Roxy Hart from Chicago. We know that I would probably be casted as Amos, but being Roxy would be really cool. Orpheus in Hades Town. That's probably the really big one. I would love to play Orpheus. Gary Essendine from Present Laughter by Noel Coward. No one's gonna know who that is, except for Perseus, because I did a monologue in a class we were together with, but I would love to be him, but I'm also way too young.
There's so many Shakespeare characters. You know, obviously we'd love to do Hamlet, Macbeth, etc. The one that I really want to play is I want to be Brutus from Julius Caesar.
Ooh.
That's my one I really want to play. But yeah, I did Stefano, and I was like, all right, I've no need to do the show ever again until I'm old enough to be Prospero.
Yeah.
Like that. This is the real Hail Mary. I would love, if there is ever an adaptation of the Mistborn trilogy, I would love to play Elend Venture. Venture, I don't know, however you pronounce the last name. I think it's a lot of fun.
Literally right now, anything, because I just want to act again. I've been costuming so many shows, and I'm like, put me in, coach. I want to wear the costumes. So many Shakespeares. I want to be Helena in Midsummer so bad because I love
that.
Canonically tall Shakespeare characters. I'm right here.
For people who don't know, Genevieve is canonically very tall.
I'm rather tall. I'd love to do like any of the sisters from King Lear. I think would be really fun.
I want to see you be Jane in Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, I would love to.
I knew you would like that. I was like, I can see you being Liz, but I think being Jane would be really fun.
Literally any production of Clue, just because it's...
Yes! Oh, yeah!
Just let me do it. Other Shakespeare's, Love Labour's Lost is like my favorite Shakespeare, and I would love to be in it. And say Winter's Tale too, I think is one that like would be really, really
I am in The Winter's Tale right now.
Who are you? Are you Leontes?
I'm playing Autolycus.
That's so cool.
which is a
Fuck
great
yeah.
No way!
At the Hobgoblin, it's the opening night is tonight. It's double cast, but I'm the 13th, 19th, and 21st at the Hobgoblin Playhouse.
My last dream role
More
is
time.
Grace Chastity and Nerdy Prudes Must Die.
Yes!
Ooh.
I totally forgot about Star Kid. Okay, Star Kid dream roles. I want to be Bug in Starship so badly. I'm also a puppeteer. I could do it. Also Paul from The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. I think I would also have fun being Emma, but I would really want to be Paul. And
Paul's a good pick.
I think, well, yeah.
You would have fun with Let It Out.
That's all the questions that I have. Does anyone have anything else they want to say to the audience before they will not be seen out of character by the audience for like maybe a few months?
Hey audience, it's been months since the last Q&A. Did you listen to my advice and listen to the Silt verses?
Oh God.
Hey audience, did you know you guys are so cool? And it's awesome that you're here.
You're pretty neat. Thanks for being interested in the cool shit we make with cool people.
Literally.
Yeah. On that note, that's pretty good. Julia doesn't have a little quirky quip to end this on. So I guess we'll just end it here. She's gonna be so mad.
Serious. I could end this on a slur. It would be fun.
No! Anyway, you want bloopers? I've got more bloopers. You want more bloopers? I can make that happen. I can give you more bloopers instead. As strong as they were at the start of the Magnus Archives. Until someone is fucking stupid enough to release them there as well. Hey, it's me. Nice to meet you. I'm stupid.
We're like in the garden.
Are we?
We're like in the garden. Wow,
It's like
great
we're in the garden.
Wow.
So you're going to join Ash? After what she did to us?
That was like so dippy fresh coated. Wiggity wiggity, what's up,
I was trying to think of
dudes?
literally any Dippy Fresh line, and I couldn't, and then I died a little bit inside.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You've been moved. Oh!
Stabbing my own eyes out. Yeah, I know.
Z-axis. It's like guns.
Should we act? Wait, hold! I dropped my phone and it knocked my script. It knocked my script off of my desk. I have 2 lines on this page. When did you stop calling me Chronicle?
No.
Fuck. That I was focusing so hard of having Edwin have a facial response when you say the word Chronicle that then I said Chronicle. I was just really thinking about my acting choices, Mallory. Stop laughing. Start acting. Me as a director. just act real fast. For me, please.
Alright. Have you tried directing?
No, God no. I'd rather die. And yet.
And yet.
So, statement of the librarial. What? Why didn't it break? What? What the fuck? It was supposed to snap. Why did it snap? It's wax. So, statement of the librarial weaver regarding the favor for the arc. What the actual fuck? What is happening? Why aren't what? Do you just peel it? No, you're breaking my nice letter. No. What the heck? It stayed intact. It wasn't supposed to do that. It was just supposed to snap. Look what it did to my envelope. What is this madness? Is a friendship true? Or is it reaching out with hands that cut you?
Because fuck. Already off to a good start. Jeez, it's so rambly.
I've always liked an audience. I've never really had an issue with being watched. One time I accidentally flashed my. That's not important.
Take your fucking prize. It is pulsing, a bright and bloody. Fuck. Bloody. It says bloody. I'm gonna fuck this whole ritual up because it said blubby. Jesus. Okay. 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 Okay.
The intensity, it's palpable. The gaze, it's palpable. I'll never understand the yearn for immortality. Eternal knowledge, sure, but maybe I am understanding the yearn for immortality. And with stories and writing and communication, more fears were carved out and people began to... More fear. Let's make that actually singular. Okay. Back to acting. 1 second. We can't! I can't see! Whoa. Dizzy o'clock. There's probably some really clever acting tricks to not get dizzy when you fuck up your breathing and breath work. If only I remembered it. I clenched my abs so much, my core hurts right now. Ow! I spit all over this too. My poor script. I think that one was good. What did we think? Did we use it? Did we use that take? This is the end of Edwin's office. Well, for season 1, but I haven't been publicly calling this season 1 because you guys don't know that Edwin's gonna live and we're gonna do this, but for protocol, and how is Edwin gonna get caught into protocol when he swears he'll never and he's been cut off? Isn't that the question? Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy? Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I'm gonna tell you in a behind the scenes that I'm probably not even gonna use. Okay. We're wrapped on Edwin for Edwin's office. I still have to film the curator. Okay.